I think we should have the theme song with him in mind. Right?
Wow, okay.
Okay.
Take it away, Tom.
So, what's new, Happy Mouth? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's new, Happy Mouth? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Happy Mouth, I love you. Yes, I do.
I love you.
You and your happy mouth. You and your happy mouth, Roots. You and your happy mouth, Gum.
Oh, thank you so much. That was wonderful.
So yeah, I'm surprised you were not embarrassed that we add a song this time.
Oh, right. No, I'm delighted.
Okay, good.
Thank you. That's brilliant. Oh, that's changed the energy incredibly. So one of the testimonials that I've had is not so new. It's from last year, but it's a chap who lives in Brisbane. He's in his 70s. And what he said is the great thing about the gums telecall, which he had been listening to and using the points, is that my receded gums are no more. How does it get any better than that? So he'd been back to his dentist who said it's not possible to regrow receded gums, and yet she was amazed that his were.
Yeah, it's not possible. I'm a dentist, and I know it's not possible.
Well, there you go. Okay.
That's what I heard in school.
Is that what they teach you in dental school?
They said that 1,000 times. It's not coming back.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that it's slightly more possible for a younger person, but for someone in their 70s, I would have thought it's completely impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go.
Well, we should, there might be a lot of people on this Zoom chat that don't know who I am. So maybe I should introduce myself.
That would be lovely. Who are you, Dr. Tom?
All right. So let me know if I fade out because I got to get my microphone here. So,
okay.
So as if you hadn't heard, my name is Dr. Tom Kolso, and I've been a practicing dentist for well over 20 years. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because the screen blanked out, but then there you are. So I have a holistic, biologic, cosmetic, and family dental practice in Colorado, which is near the Rocky Mountains in the USA. And in our dental practice, we do modern dentistry, but we go much above the standard of care of dentistry today. For example, we use injectable homeopathics. We use medical grade ozone as part of the typical day in my office doing dentistry. So if that doesn't make me weird enough, also while I'm doing dentistry on these patients, I'm quietly running off energy and doing activations. And that way they heal much faster and stronger. And patients don't know that I'm doing energy work. It's really their bonus for coming to see us. And so I have another business that you may have heard of called Happy Mouth. So with Happy Mouth, which, like I said, it's a separate business. My aim is to take what I can do in the dental office and go like 1,000 times further with people who are actually looking for consciousness and know that their body and mouth can actually enter into place. So you're still there, right?
I'm here. We've just got a bit of interference on the line, but you're coming through loud and clear. So.
Yeah, I think there must be a lot of people who are on mute or something like that.
Yeah. Can you mute? Go ahead, Tom.
All right. So I just wanted to say that before you really got going with our conversation.
Okay, thank you. So what's your history? How did this all begin for you with the Happy Mouth and the being a dentist? Was there a point where you woke up one morning and went, there's got to be something else? Or was it a gradual, or how did it all come about?
Well, it really was a gradual thing, but I mean, mostly, you can look at Happy Mouth starting in about the year 2000, when one of the happy mouth activation points started activating on my skull in the middle of an access class. And so one of the activation points, what we call the dental activation point, started firing on and off in the middle of an access class. And it was really actually quite uncomfortable and unnerving because I didn't know what it was at the time. And by the time the 4-day class finished, I had asked both Gary and Dane separately, what's going on? And it was Dane's very first access class that he attended. And he was actually doing sessions for the first time in the back, and he was charging $75. And I asked him, I had a session because everybody was having sessions. He was a new guy and people were doing it, and it was the thing to do. So he had a session with him. And so I asked him what his perception of what was going on with my skull, because I was just a little freaked about it. And he said what was going on was actually a gift and a talent, which really confused me, because I was like, okay, I want my $75 back, because no, it's got to be my spleen, fix my spleen, it's something in the meridian is blocked. And so you got to do something about that with this. You can't just say it's a gift, So I asked Gary at the last day, actually after the last day of class, and he was able to give me some details that it was actually a generative mouth activation point, and it was firing on me because I was going to teach others how to use it. So, with happy mouth, so what is it? With happy mouth, what I ask is, when you look at your mouth and body, what would you like to change? What would you like to choose? What would you like to create? What would you like to create and generate with your mouth and your body? And so the mouth, it's really the gateway for the rest of the body. And science has shown us that 80% of all diseases can be at least partially traced back to the mouth. So I consider happy mouth absolutely important in having a happy body. I look at it as happy mouth, happy body. And, so my favorite access classes of all time are the bars and the basic body class. And, yes, I've been to dozens and dozens of access classes, but these are still my favorite because if you practice the things you learn in these, you cover so much ground, and it's so complete just on its own. But you have to practice them. I mean, a lot of people take the bars and they take the body class and just get down, and it's like, okay, I've done that, and now I'm going to do the sex and relationship class. But it's like, these are talked about as being fundamental, and they are, because they really are something that takes care of so much. So the only thing that access classes don't really cover is the mouth.
Yep.
And that's where happy mouth comes in. And so for me, the Holy Trinity is, the bars, basic body class,
Yep.
and happy mouth.
Yeah.
So it's like, the bars, basic body class, happy mouth, amen. So that's the way I look at it. But really, I do believe everybody should be clearing as much as they can and activating as much as they can in their mouth. The mouth is a source point for so many things in the body that aren't working well. And the teeth and the mouth literally affect the rest of the body. And if the mouth is not taken care of, it literally contaminates the rest of the body.
Yeah. And
so it's very important to clear the issues of the mouth. So, well, let's run a process on that. Y'all okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's just funny to see all these people on the screen, and I'm just looking at them, and they're doing different things. And picking up stuff off their floor and answering the doorbell and petting their cat. So that's why my eyes are just darting everywhere, because I haven't been on a Zoom chat before. So this is really fascinating. All I've ever done with Skype, and Skype is just, hi, how are you doing?
Yeah.
So let's run that process before I forget. So what would it take to be aware of what information has been stored in various parts of the mouth that are not appropriate for the body or the being?
Wow.
Everything that does not allow all that. Will you just right now create all that, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, blind, beyonds. So in just a word, I use the access clearing statement, and I'm not going to really go through what that's about. It's a very easy thing to find out on the internet, how the access clearing statement works and what it does. And so if you just Google Happy Mouth Clearing Statement, you'll get a whole page of explanation, and so that's some good reading.
The access clearing statement.
Yeah. Is that, did I say Happy Mouth Clearing Statement? That's not on Google.
No.
That is not on Google.
Yeah.
Thank you. The access
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But actually, when actually, and I misspoke there, because when I do Happy Mouth classes, I actually add to the clearing statement to make it more potent. So there actually is a Happy Mouth clearing statement, but for the purposes of this Zoom chat, I'm going to keep it with the regular access clearing statement, because I don't want to get people like going, what's he talking about? What's all that? Because that all is a big, requires some explanation, and I don't think it's worth our time.
Okay, great. And that's people can find that on theclearingstatement.com. There's a whole website devoted to that. Yeah.
All right. And
cool.
that's yeah. So there's a lot of access stuff on the web.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where you were going with that was, I think what we started to say there was, what is actually happy mouth when people... I'm sorry, someone speaking. They'll never have to go to the dentist again. They'll never have to brush their teeth again. Could you go into a little bit about actually what happy mouth is?
Well, so happy mouth is, essentially it's processes and activations that help or facilitate someone to actually generate in their mouth instead of let their mouth deteriorate, and so we're all told, or not told, but, it kind of comes out in our culture that, you get old, you get 2 sets of teeth, and those teeth break down and they wear out and they crack and they decay and they fall out, and you get gum disease, and then you get fake teeth and all that, and that's what happens. And so with Happy Mouth, we use, well, first of all, one of the things that we might want to talk about is all the activation points that we use in Happy Mouth to really activate the generative capacity that we all have in our mouths. So, the processing is something that goes along with that to clear other chunks of things that a lot of people have similar to each other. But the activation points are one of the, when we do, we teach all these activation points and we go through them all, but we really don't, I never really talk about how important they actually are. I always hope that participants realize that they're very important, but they are an essential part of the class, even though 95% of the time we're actually talking about other things. Because once you learn with the activation point, you just go ahead and do it. But there's a lot to talk about all around that. So there's actually now, at this point, 16 activation points.
Mm.
And I just counted them up the other day because I was wondering how many there were, because somebody else had asked me, and I thought maybe there were 12. I've never had counted, you know. But there are, and maybe I should just list what they are. So there's the Donald Generative System, which is the one that I talked about at the beginning of this Zoom chat. That was the one that activated spontaneously on me 17 years ago. And so the Donald Generative System, this is really the master control activation point. And then, you know, and so it covers a lot in general, but then there's a lot of specific activation points. There's the gingival restorative system and gingival generative system activation point, and these two work together for healthy gums. And then there's the bone and lymph system activation points, and these are important for the gums as well, because in order to have healthy gums, you have to have healthy bone structures and lymph drainage and all that. And then there's the receptor and responder point activation system, and these are about the body being able to receive and also respond.
These are like fast points that he's talking about.
Okay.
I think they're around the
and
door.
then there's
We'll get to give one of your secrets.
So I think somebody needs to mute.
We can hear you talking, people.
I can see somebody napping in the corner somewhere too. And so I should do that. I should get out of my bed and do some chat. That looks comfortable. And then there's the awareness activation point, the smart point activation, and then the insight activation point. And these three, they're separate points, but these three help facilitate a person in making choices, which, you know, actually can be a challenge for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people are stuck in this regard. And then there's something we call the balance activation point, and that point just balances the energy between a lot of different points. There's also the TMJ generative system and the TMJ restorative system activation points, and these work together for a healthy jaw and joint structures. There's the salivary gland generative activation point system, and you know, a lot of people have a dry mouth, which is a big problem for them, and it's a big problem for their teeth and gums too, because their teeth and gums have so much more vulnerability when there's no moisture and basically flow going on in their mouth. There's no buffering capacity when you have a decreased salivary flow. So that's important. Then there's the tooth structural integrity system activation point. And this one is really about taking care of decay. It's about taking care of cracks in the teeth and parts of the teeth that are broken off. And then there's two more. There's the hair generative activation point, which is actually a new one for our upcoming class. And so that one hasn't been shared before. And then there's also the euthanasia activation point. And this one is also new for the upcoming class. And this is really important for anyone who would like to generate their body with ease. So, you know, these activation points, they're actually very potent, and most of them only need about 3 to 4 minutes per session per point to be activated. And so with Happy Mouth, like I said, we do a lot of processing, and I mean a lot. But the thing is, these activation points are so potent that actually, you know, running these activation points without doing any processing will eventually, over time, you know, change the belief systems that are stuck in the mouth and body. So, so let's say you have a belief system that that's false and it's not working for you, and you'd like to change them. So the activation points will actually change those systems even without doing the processing. But with Happy Mouth, we like to come at all things at all angles, all the angles that we can. And so we do all the processing and the activations.
So when you talked about the gums, and there are a number of activation points which impact the gums, would you say then that the gums are really it's where you've got to start for looking at, like people say, I want to grow a new tooth, but really, would you talk about how that is much more difficult to do if you haven't already laid the groundwork with the health of the gum and the bone in the mouth?
Well, exactly. And so when we do a class, we really need to start at the foundation of things and clear off big foundational chunks that are stuck in people's mouths and people's systems. And so every time we do a class, people have questions, and right away they say, how do I grow a tooth? How do I take care of this decay? How do I do my TMJ? And they have all those questions, and and I always let everybody know we're going to get to that. And really, first, in order to get anywhere with any of those things, we really need to look at the gums and take care of the gums and clear up everything with the gums so that the gums are healthy enough to support everything else that we want to change. And so when we do a Happy Mouth class, it's one of the first things that gets talked about on the one of the first days. It's let's talk about the gums. And so in gum disease, it's really a good thing for us to talk about on this chat, I think, because there are so many people. Research has shown that about 47% of the population, at least in the United States, has some form of gum disease or gingivitis.
Wow.
And that's a lot.
Wow.
And it may be different in different countries, but the United States, certainly there's stuff going on. And so I think it's worthwhile for us to talk about gum disease, if you'd like. And with gum disease, when we talk about gum disease in the class, there's a lot of belief systems that get stuck in somebody that is not helping them at all. So let's maybe talk about the top 5 belief systems that create this problem for somebody. And so if there's anybody on this call on this chat that has any kind of gum problems, one of these 5 things is probably up for you. So one of the first things that might be up in somebody's belief system about themselves is number 1, they're not good enough. It's a belief system of I'm not good enough. And another top 5 belief system would be I'm not good at making decisions, or I'm going to make the wrong decision. Kind of the same thing. And a third one on the list might be I'm going to be judged by others that I've done something wrong or incorrectly, and they're not going to approve of me. And so something's going to go wrong because I'm going to be judged by others. And a lot of people have that. And then, there's a couple others that aren't as popular, but we might as well list them as we are doing a top 5 list. So, another one might be attention desire for attention. If I have gum disease, then I'll get attention that I need, and then other people will feel sorry for me.
Wow.
And then another one, or lastly, to top our top 5 list, because of course there are other obscure belief systems out there, because everybody has their own particular recipe, right? But another one would be guilt and self-punishment. Somehow I was bad or wrong, and I need to be punished for something I feel guilty about.
Yeah.
So punishment always comes after the guilt. And so for most people, a lot of gum disease has to do with an inability to make choices and decisions. And so that's something that we talk about a lot in a class, because that's up for a lot of people. Choice.
Yep.
You know, so let's talk about choice. Let's talk about decisions. So, you know, people oftentimes have a fear of making decisions because in their mind, every decision has to be for life. And they've got to follow it for life. So, oh my God, I'm following this for the rest of my life. What if I make the wrong decision? You know, for instance, you know, there's plenty of people who get married and they hate their marriage, but God damn it, I made this decision and I gotta follow for life, even though I want to kill myself and get out of this marriage. And so the thing that sticks you is this fear that, you know, the thought of needing to be committed to your decisions. So let's run a process on that.
Thank you.
Before people's heads burst. So what have you made so vital about the commitments to your choices and decisions that keep you unable and unwilling and unforgiving of all your choices and decisions? Everything that is, would you like to just try now and create all of that, please?
Yes, yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, fun, puck, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, you know, so in many lifetimes, you know, churches, cults, religions, and other institutions were a big part of the systems that helped implant you with these commitments. You know, because you don't want to let God down, do you? No, you don't want to let God down. So, you know, the Bible says you have to keep that commitment.
Yep.
You have to keep that oath. You have to keep that vow. And the Bible says your decisions need to be solid. And being committed to all your decisions is really actually not a helpful thing. You need to be able to change your decisions so that you can improve upon them over time. It's like you make a decision and it's like, oh, that didn't work out the way I thought it was. I think I'm going to choose differently now. You know, and that's okay. So let's run something on that. So what have you made so vital about the algorithms of enslavement to the thought that preceded the action of you binding yourself to all your commitments, all of your oaths, all of your vows for all of eternity? So would you like to delete and uncreate all that, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pun, puck, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And let's immediately fill up that vacuum with universal love and oneness.
Thank you.
So I like, you know, so one of the things when I delete an algorithm, just to let you know, is I like to fill up that vacuum with universal love and oneness, because when you delete an algorithm, when you delete something like that that has that much of a big chunk there, there's lots of tricksters and jokesters out there in the universe that go, oh, look, there's a void. Let me go in there. You don't want that. And so, so if you're wondering why I was filling up that vacuum with some universal love and oneness, that's because that's a better place, better thing to have in that vacuum.
Cool. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So with gums, what was the other thing I wanted to ask you? How much of it is judging yourself that you haven't been good with your teeth, you haven't kept up with your dental health? Does that create more gum problems than actually not going to the dentist or not eating the right food?
Well, certainly neglect. If somebody's neglecting, you know, it's like there's like, for instance, for dental decay, we could do a top 5 list on dental decay.
Okay.
And, actually in the top 5 list of dental decay is neglect. There's a lot of people who are like, I don't want to bother. And it's not really a belief system so much as maybe it's a lack of awareness about how their mouth feels, or maybe it's a lack of awareness of how their mouth could be, or that there's actually, junk in their mouth that should be cleaned off. Because actually, I tell everybody who does Happy Mouth that it's still important to brush and floss, because that's, your body likes to be nurtured. Your body likes to be touched. It's like, you wouldn't think of like not taking a shower. I mean, you wouldn't think of like going out, leaving your house, leaving your apartment on, Monday morning and not combing your hair or putting on makeup or taking a shower. But there's a lot of people who are like, okay, I did all that stuff, but the mouth, I don't have to do that. And then, there are some people that look at, well, I can just tell my mouth to keep clean because I'm an infinite being. And would an infinite being actually have to floss?
Okay. Wow.
Like,
okay.
And my answer to that is, would an infinite being actually have to wipe their butt? Like, I mean, we do have a body, and it is good to nurture this body. And there are things that we do for our body, and our body appreciates that. And so these things are important, and I make light of them, but there are points of view out there that differ from that, general awareness.
Okay, so it's like hands-on processes. The body likes to be touched. The body likes to have the teeth cleaned. It likes them to be flossed. Also, can you talk about whether the body likes the dentist that you go to or not?
Well, you should, if you're going to a dentist or about to go see a new dentist, you should ask your body, hey mouth, would you like to see this dentist? Your body knows. Would you like to see this dentist? Is this dentist going to, nurture your body? A lot of dentistry is done from force, and, a certain amount of force is going to be present when you are using a drill. But how is that force used, and what kind of, power and awareness is along with that, that's going to nurture your body instead of completely ignoring your body. I mean, it's like, when I first got out of dental school, I worked at this really nice practice, and there was 3 owner dentists there. And one of the dentists, I mean, he was old school. I mean, this is a long time ago, and so he was in his 60s back then. And so I watched him numb somebody up once, and it's like, when I numb somebody up, I go in I do a lot of things energetically when I'm numbing somebody up, because I like it when they say, I didn't feel anything at all. And so I do it in a way, and I expand myself, and I expand the patient. I do all these things, and I go slowly when I numb them up. This dentist that I worked with way back when, he'd like get that needle in, and it would just be like, boom, and it's like, okay, body, do you like that? Probably not, but people back then, it's like, I hear stories all the time about, new patients come to my office and they tell me their story about what it was like when the dentist threatened to throw them out the window and whatever. There's lots of different. You'd be amazed, but I digress.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, would you be happy to talk about what's actually going to be in the class, in the 3-day class?
Yeah. So the 3-day class, we're going to Well, you know, and I was just thinking about this the other day because it's like, whoever comes to this 3-day class, I mean, hold on to your
Hat?
bonnet. Hold on to your bonnet, because it's like I could easily had this been a 4-day class. There's going to be so much processing and clearing that I think I'm going to have a little mouth spray for myself so that my voice doesn't go hoarse. But we're going to cover gums, of course, and gingivitis, gum disease, gum recession. We're going to talk about teeth and activating tooth buds, and growing new teeth and strengthening teeth, generating strong teeth where there's decay, taking care of cracked teeth. We're going to talk about TMJ, you know, the joint issue, the clenching and grinding, the muscles in the joints and all that. People have problems with their joints and all that. We're going to talk about plaque. And by plaque, I don't mean the plaque on the wall. I mean the plaque in your mouth. And we're going to talk about mercury. And we're going to talk about root canals and nerve regeneration. And it's basically, there's a lot of things that come up in a class that people have, you know, so we'll cover everything that people have questions about in their mouths. And so basically we're covering from everything from abscesses to zingers.
Okay. The A to Z. And
Yeah.
at the end, yes. So at the end of that 3 days, so we're going to have massage tables in the room, everyone. So this is not a seminar where you sit and take notes for the whole 3 days, right? Tom,
Yeah.
people need to know that this is not a note-taking. They may well take notes, but it's not going to be sitting on chairs listening to a seminar for 3 days. They will actually be activating.
Yeah, there are a lot of hands-on, and so it's like I'm going to be processing while people have hands on each other, because you might as well come at it from all angles and enjoy it. And so, no, it's not really, you know, something where you'd probably be taking notes. I mean, it's like I'm going to be covering so much. And of course, you're going to get a tape anyways. You're going to get that all on tape afterwards. And so taking notes is really probably going to be difficult. But you can do that.
Okay. And then at the end of the class, people will be considered a certified practitioner of Happy Mouth, yeah?
Correct. Yep.
I have a lot of questions around that.
Mm-hmm.
And just as kind of an aside to the gum thing, the most common feedback I've gotten from people who've taken the telecall series and run the points is that they have more confidence and they're more confident speaking up, which is maybe not why they took the Happy Mouth series.
Right.
But it's like this wonderful little sideline that you get, this little cream on top of the cake is that you get more confidence with your expression, your self-esteem changes. So there's a lot of, this is like a kind of a holistic thing. It's not just about a change in your mouth. Everything will change.
Absolutely. I mean, you could think that your biggest problem is that you have, gum recession, but the gum recession actually is tied into something else in your body, like your heart or your, or your gut. And you go away from that, from the Happy Mouth class with a healing of somewhere else in your body that you didn't even realize was a part of what was actually started in your mouth. Because like I said, the mouth is a huge source point for the rest of the body. Huge. So much originates in the mouth.
And lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, perhaps, of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the other big question people ask me about is tooth caps and implants. And I've just got a quick question there saying, are we going to be talking about that in the class, in the 3-day class?
We're going to be talking about everything.
Everything, yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I mean, you've heard all the classes we've done, and of course it's like there's always somebody who has a question that hasn't been asked before, and that's great.
Yes.
And so if somebody's got an odd question, they should ask it.
Wow. Okay. That's like either a red rag to a bull or a white carte blanche, isn't it? You come along and ask whatever you
want. It's an odd question. They might think it's an odd question, but it's not. I mean, to me. But to them, they hesitate to ask it because they think, oh, I'm just the only person that could have that going on or have that question. And so that's what I'm talking about.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Fillings, people ask me about fillings, amalgams. We're going to be covering all of that. Growing new teeth. I'm very excited about the youthening point, and in the concept of indefinite living. And I guess for me, that was a hook. That was a powerful hook to get me interested. Apart from the fact that I was in agony with my teeth, I was also interested in this concept of indefinite living, which is that you, if you want to live to a ripe old age and be healthy and well, you're going to need a healthy mouth and perhaps be able to grow new teeth.
Definitely. And so most people don't realize that our bodies are actually programmed to have more than 2 sets of teeth.
Yes. Well, whoever tells you that? Nobody tells you that.
So one of the things that we talk about really on the first day is the whole, getting clear on youthening and indefinite life. Because if we talk about it, if you have a unconscious commitment to death somewhere in your being, you are going to have a hard time generating things in your body and your mouth. I mean, it's like, so that really has to be cleared. And so there's a lot of things on day 1 that we're cleaning the slate so that we can actually on day 2 and 3 really go at it.
Okay. Because thank you. And part of that for me is that the olding, which you see with receded gums, that's like, I'm getting older, therefore I'm getting long in the tooth, my gums are receding.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually I didn't realize that was an unconscious commitment to death too, because it's buying into that idea that as you get older in years, your body has to deteriorate and, eventually decay and die. So that was totally.
Yeah, gum recession, I mean, that's just as popular as gum disease, and so there are many similarities of belief systems between gum disease and gum recession, but there is a differentiation between the two. With the gum disease, the person subconsciously would like to heal, and with recession, though, the person does not really want to heal because they don't think they're worth healing. And it's like a punishment, and they need to continue to get punishment. People love to flog themselves, and punish themselves. Flog. Yeah, flog is what I said, not flog. Flog. And have you noticed? It's like, and Whitney Houston, she had that song, The Greatest Love of All. And basically the greatest love is learning to love yourself, which is very, apropos. And, but the truth of it really is that our culture, our society, basically, most people actually love to hate themselves. That's the greatest of the loves. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a great thing, but they love to do it. I mean, they love to hate themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep hating themselves. And so, and the thing is, if you're going to be judged by others, then you think that, you just deserve to be judged. And so why should you get away with something? And so, there's so much self-judgment. And so, but also recession, it can also be, along with the whole, aging aging thing, because we cover that. I mean, there's a lot of programs of aging that get stuck in that I am getting older, I'm getting long in the tooth, I am an old fart, I am having recession. But a lot of recession also can do a lot with wishy-washy thinking, going back and forth with decisions. So it's like you make a decision, but immediately you're like, no, I'm going to do that. No, I'm going to do that. No, I'm going to do that. And so gum disease can be about, I'm punishing myself, but, it's temporary. But recession, it can be more, permanent for them. So the thing about gum recession, it oftentimes can be an opposition of someone refusing to make choices and decisions, and like everybody's heard, everything, I mean, maybe not everybody's heard, but if you've taken an access class, everything is choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like making them. I mean, and that's why they have a whole class called Choice of Possibilities, because people have a hard time making them. And that's why there's actually 3 points in Happy Mouth that really have to do with choice, because there's a lot of muck in there that you got to get out to make things easier, and so, everything is choice, and a lot of people don't like making them. So you have to ask yourself, how are you with making choices and decisions? Do you love to make them? When you go to an ice cream store, and there's 31 flavors, you walk in there and do you go, oh, look at them, choice. Or do you go, oh, crap, I have to choose one of these. How am I ever going to choose any of that? I mean, I've seen that so many times when I've gone into a store like that and there's other people standing in line and all that kind of stuff. It's like, there's chocolate mocha and coffee mocha and mint mocha and butterscotch mocha and and so, do you like making your own decisions, or do you get afraid and you get afraid of making the wrong one? Would you rather give your power away and have someone else pick that ice cream flavor? Would you let someone else make your decision even if you don't like the decision they came up with? What about when you went to the ice cream store and you were 3 and your mom made the decision for you because you didn't know how to read and you didn't know what the flavors were anyways? And so what if your mom picked like Tutti Frutti? And you're like, oh God, or what if you're an adult and, you have somebody pick it for you and you're like, yeah, you pick it for me. I can't choose. I'm bad at choosing. You just pick it. And then they go and they pick you bubblegum flavor and you're like, oh God, what the hell, So, so let's run a process on that. Because I know that brings up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, so what have you made so vital about the algorithms of enslavement to the thought that preceded the action of you absolutely, totally, infinitely, and utterly refused to make a choice for all of eternity? Would you like to delete that algorithm and uncreate it all, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot and pock, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And now let's immediately fill the vacuum with universal love and oneness. Let's do one more process with regards to that and choices in recession. So what bastardization of creation are you using to create the opposition of your own refusing of the choices you are not choosing? Would you just try and uncreate all that, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot and puck, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So it's really, it's the opposition to the refusing to choose that a lot of times recedes the gums.
Wow. And that's so much about where you are in the present, but it's also creating your future and your body's future, the future of your body. This is, for me, very exciting. I mean, it's just not about having, I call it the great white shark mouth, which seems to be the fashion at the moment, is to have an enormous mouthful of perfect white teeth. We're talking about something completely different here, where your body would be happy to have healthy, functioning teeth.
Right. Exactly. That's what your body would like to have, nice functional teeth so that you can eat some good, healthy, crunchy food. Because once you don't have teeth that you can function with, then your diet is left to the mushy foods. And the mushy foods aren't as good as good for your body. And over time, the mushy foods that you see a lot of older people who don't function very well with their teeth anymore, and you see them eat all the mushy stuff, and that then their body gets more acidic because those foods are more acidic, and it's just one of the ways that slowly you get out of your body. It's another way to get out of your body. There's lots of different ways of doing it.
Yep. Okay, so is there anything you would like me to ask you? Is there anything we left out that you would like to let people know about this upcoming class in Paris? And it's only a few weeks away, the first hands-on class.
Right. No, I'd like to invite everybody who's on this call to to make a choice to generate, to look into what they can do to generate their mouth and their body even more than they thought was possible.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't even consider that as an option. I mean, you look at, the culture says your teeth are so hard and so dense, and so they're unchangeable, and that's not really a truth. Our bodies can do so much more than we believe or have belief systems that they can. There's certain cultures in the world that have a lot easier time with activating a tooth bud replacement for an adult tooth. In Africa, in the tribes in Africa, it's done a lot more readily because it isn't questioned, that that's a possibility. It's part of the culture that the body takes care of things. But that's not the way it is in Western society. You're told at an early age that your mom tells you better brush your teeth because, well, I mean, it's good to brush your teeth, but the reason you better brush your teeth is because you only get one set of permanent teeth, and that's it. So, and of course, I'm not saying neglect the set you have, but I am saying if something's going on with some of the things that you have right now, there are things that can change, and it's not doesn't have to be a deteriorating state until you leave the earth.
Yep. So it's that mutability, that changeability that's possible that people don't even get that is possible.
Right.
For me, if the dentist told me I needed fillings, I just thought, well, that's it. There's holes in my teeth. There's decay. I didn't know there was anything else possible.
Right.
Then you must stuff something into that tooth to repair it.
Well, I mean, even like plaque, for instance, plaque is the body's way of overprotecting itself.
Yeah.
And, if you don't know how to gift and receive love and gratitude, if you feel like you need to be protected all the time to feel safe, you're going to have more plaque going on. And so we clear a lot about that because if somebody has all this plaque in their mouth, it's really hard for their gums to be healthy too. So we're not looking at things one-dimensionally. We're coming in it from all angles. And, and besides that, an interesting thing is that our bodies, we talk about this in class, our bodies have within them a microorganism a minute microorganism whose job it is to actually dissipate the plaque in our mouths. And so we spend time activating those microorganisms so that they can become conscious again and do the jobs that they were actually doing when you were a kid. Because if you remember when you were a kid, when you were 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, it's most likely that you didn't have a lot of plaque and calculus on your mouth. But when you got older, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you go to the dentist, the dental hygienist takes out these meat hook scrapers and they start scraping things, or they got an ultrasonic and they're, taking a lot, they're sandblasting all that stuff off of there. And, but when you were a kid, your microorganisms were conscious and they were vital and they were doing a job for you. And they can be activated again. And it's a helpful thing for sure.
That's one of the many changes I've noticed in my mouth now. When I go every 6 months, have my teeth clean, there's a little bit of plaque, but nothing like there used to be. So it's been about 3 years for me with the Happy Mouth stuff. Yeah. And I was scheduled to have some fillings with my last dentist. I got a new dentist, had all the activations run, and she said no fillings. And I said, but I know I need fillings. My last dentist took x-rays. I was set to go. She said, you don't have any. I'll watch some areas of your mouth, and I walked out of that dental office like dumbfounded. It was like I wasn't even asking for that. I was looking at other things in my mouth, but that changed. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but what dentist tells you don't need fillings when you don't actually need fillings? It was amazing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
How's it getting better than that? Yeah. So, I heard somebody's voice there. So thank you, Tom. We're at the top of the next hour. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know that you're super, super busy. People needed to put your face to Happy Mouth. Thank you. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you, everyone, for being online. I can see that there is, a lot of people on. A lot of people have registered, and they'll all be getting the recording. We're getting the recording translated into French, German, possibly Hungarian, definitely Romanian. So give us a day or two, people, and you'll get this recording. Not that we're dubbing you in, Tom. You won't be speaking and then having Romanian coming out of your mouth.
Oh no, I would like that.
I think that would be fun. Or French, someone speaking French for you. Oh la la.
Yes, right. I wouldn't even try to speak French.
No. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I'll be there in Paris next week. We'll all see you in Paris if you're coming. If not, follow our adventures, our newsletters. And thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thank you for everybody on the chat. It was, I had a good time. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay.
I hope you all did too.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.